So I learned a lot from anime, and after learning all I could, I realized there's nothing for me to learn anymore. So I stopped watching it. From being a waste of time, it also had a lot of moral issues that I disagree with, and there are harmful mindsets. So a lot of values that were taught in anime, which I absolutely disagree with. Why I started watching anime initially was inspiration. First, the reason I started watching anime was because I was inspired by the main character. So the main characters were like I was looking up to them, and I was inspired by them. That's why I came into anime to begin with. After a while, I forgot why I really started, or it wasn't really it wasn't the main reason why I watched anymore. And then I remembered again, but that was way later. I also stopped because I realized it no longer served me, and a lot of people forget why they start to begin with. They started because they were inspired in the main characters, they were inspired by the main characters, then they continue watching, or now they just watch for pleasure and comfort. I stopped watching anime for pleasure and comfort after I changed as a person and decided that I want to become who I was inspired by. So I was inspired the main characters. I wanted to become them, not just watch them, Because that's why I watched to begin with. I wanted to be like them. I didn't watch because it was so fun and comfortable. I started watching initially because I wanted to be like the main characters. Here are the things that I learned from anime, good and bad. So let's start with the good points, good things that I learned from anime. One common theme in every anime, and I think Japanese culture in general, is to never give up. It was like a trope in every anime that I had watched. And I really love that. I love that principle. It's even so simple, but at the same time, it's so underrated and underappreciated. And, it should be a given. Everybody should be like, never give up on something you really believe in and try with your full best until you fail and realize that your try was not the issue, For example, Western societies don't really have that. I don't know. I can't really tell. For me, I internalized that so much. Giving up became failure for me. Not even why you gave up, even if it was reasonable. Just giving up itself became failure, which is partly wrong, but in one way it's also good. It became such an internalized part of my life at some point that I accepted to never give up, even if I was certain that I would fail. Even if a mountain was falling on me, I would say I'm not giving up. I'm gonna try until as long as I'm here, I'm going to try. And that was in a time of my life where it was really hard. It was the hardest time in my life. It was in school when I was trying to pass my grades, and I felt like it determined my value as a human. Back in the day, I was if I fail this, if I have to repeat the class, I lose all my value basically. I'm someone stupid. I am worthless. That's what I believed. Eventually, I came to realize I accepted. If I fail, I fail, but I will try my best. I'm not gonna give up. And that's also the next point. In that time frame, or the hardest time frame of my life, I made up 3 rules. I found 3 rules to become the best you can. The best in something you can. Which was, number 1 rule was to never give up. Number 2 rule was to do everything to get better. And the 3rd rule was to realize that you're not special. Because someone else who does what you do would achieve the exact same thing as you. And a lot of people believe in talent and so on and so forth. I don't believe in that, for example. You can't really prove talent, let's say it like that. There is a difference in people who, how should I say, who are better and worse with less or more training, but you don't know where it comes from. So you can't prove the commercial sense that talent is genetics. It does exist a difference in the capability, I also believe that, of people who are more or less capable. I do believe that. But I don't believe it has to do with genetics. That's a side tangent. Okay, whatever. But important part is, these were the 3 rules, and I later came up with another rule, which was to trust God. The reason why it's so important to trust God is, if you are someone who doesn't trust God, and you're in a crisis, you can't, you have to stop and think and reconsider, and that will make you less capable than someone who trusts in God. Who faces the truth, who finds his way so that he can focus on his way. Then you will understand what true discipline is, but that's a whole different side tangent. So animes who have this value are animes like Naruto, My Hero Academia, Dragon Ball Z, Black Clover, Arifureta, ReZero, Tokyo Ghoul, and Shield Hero. All of these have the trope of like never giving up, you know. The second was to give it your all. If you're not giving it your all, you're failing. That was my mindset, you know. So before we keep going with this, I want to add something to never give up, so that you don't get like, that you don't go the wrong path. I want to set you up for the right path, not like, I don't want you to do like nonsense, you know. I can tell you the right path is not to say, as long as I don't give up, I don't care. You need the reason behind it. So how can you tell if it's giving up, like fake giving up or the right giving up? It depends on your goals. What are your goals? But with giving up, what I really meant is like surviving, in a sense. It's like, if you wanna achieve something, then you can never give up completely. You haven't given up until you never pick it up again. If you decide I'm gonna pick it up, but like a few days later, that's not necessarily giving up, you know. I know it sometimes. The reason I'm telling you this, sometimes I felt bad because I left some things, you know, to do it for later. Because I wasn't capable, or it wasn't good. Or, for example, I tried 10 times, a boss 10 times, 100 times, and I just don't kill him. I'm like, okay, I'll come back later, sleep on this, and then come back. That's not giving up. If I said I don't want to play this game anymore, I'm never gonna play it, that's giving up, right? The giving up that I'm talking about means like, the type of giving up that means never coming back. That's what I'm trying to say. That's a really good principle if you use it right. If you start gambling and say, I'm never gonna give up, you cooked, bro. You know what I'm saying? So never giving up is like a tool, it's like a weapon. And you need to understand how to use it, right? And that's something I realized from anime. Not giving up is good if it's a good goal that you decided for and you wanna continue, which you wanna continue following, pursuing, you know? So as long as you wanna achieve that goal, the best way to do it is rule number 1, never give up. That's the scenario where it applies. To give your best, right? So that also has to do with never giving up. If you truly never give up, you will automatically try your best, right? Because if you don't try your best, you already gave up. You didn't try your best. You didn't really try. I'm saying things you care about, things you decide are important for you, things you're interested in, like, do better, bro. And things you really care about, do your best. Like, why would you not try more? For me, it was also, if I don't really try, it was like I'm failing, you know. I have already inside, I've given up. And for me, that's an extension of like not giving up. Those 3 rules that I decided to follow. So, if you're not giving it your all, you're already failing. That was like a mindset that I got from anime. And that's a good mindset. This is, as I said, this applies to things you really care about, that you wanna be like the best in or are interested in. We see that in anime like Black Clover or Arifureta. Wait a second, Arifureta? Yeah, Arifureta, definitely. Okay, so getting stronger, you know, with the power of friendship. It's also a big trope in anime. And you should definitely strive to improve. That's a great thing about anime as well, right? Always like striving to improve. And I do like that. I definitely do. You know, in anime, for example, they wanna get stronger because they gotta beat their enemies. They gotta get stronger to basically beat the villain. And it is a really good principle that we can learn from. Not because you gotta beat some villain or something, but to always improve, you know. You can never lose from it. So it will greatly improve your life. This mindset of always trying to improve and getting better, you know. I really do like that. So you will find that like these principles in anime like Dragon Ball Z or Dr. Stone, for example. And I chose Dr. Stone also not because Dragon Ball Z is like genuine, like just power, but in Dr. Stone is also about like influence, knowledge, and so on and so forth. Getting stronger does not only mean to get physically stronger. Of course, I do recommend everyone to get physically stronger, but like in the mind, you know, philosophically, knowledge-wise, wisdom-wise, capability-wise, skill-wise, spiritually-wise. And I'm not talking about like esoteric spiritually. Spiritually meaning understanding your own soul and knowing where you want to go. That has to do also with death and life and God. And it may be different, but I believe in God, and I think that is a part of, you know, the human quest. It's always like a part of us to question where the hell we're coming from, why are we here, what the hell are we doing, like What's the point of all of this? If you don't ask yourself that, you are like doing yourself a big misfavor, bro. That's definitely something you should also work on. It's hard. The questions are freaking hard, bro. They're not called hard questions in life for fun. They're really hard. And not only like to answer them, to find them, how much effort, it's also just painful to question these. You know, when you don't know the answer and for weeks or months, you're just there without knowing where you're gonna go. What the hell are you gonna do? Why are you even alive? Like, what are you alive for? It's really hard. It's not easy emotionally and meaningfully, you know. And I recommend, I have like a tip for that, which is to write down somewhere on the phone and an app and in several places what that question is, so you don't have to think about it all the time. You can say, okay, I'm gonna answer that when I have the question, or maybe it will come to me, or when I have time I will decide to try to solve it, or maybe talk about it with someone. So the next principle that I learned in anime, a good principle that I learned in anime, is to be ready to die for those you truly call friends. Ride or die. That's like straight up W principle, bro. All of these are, until now, you know, this is something really underappreciated. Really, really underappreciated. And even though everybody wants a ride or die, no one is a ride or die for some reason. They're all pussies, bro. And I hate that. That's so sad to see people. They're not really ready. Not really ride or die, bro. Are you really ready to die for that cause, for your friends, for your people? Do you love them that much? That's the question, right? That's the question here. So you don't need to. I'm not saying you need to die the moment some of your friends or some people you love are in danger and you could be sacrificed. Don't just die for them. And that's also a stupid like thing in anime where they sacrifice themselves. Don't do that, bro. Do it if it's the right thing. If you're like, this is my responsibility and this is what I believe in, then yes, bro. If the belief is our goal together with my friend is to, for this cause, for example, let's say you're in Nazi Germany, to help those people oppressed, and your friend needs to die in order to achieve, and you both accept that in order to achieve a goal, political goal, then that doesn't mean you need to die for them, because if it would be truly better for you to survive, you know? But you both need to believe in that, bro. Otherwise that would be straight, then like, in that case it would be betraying it would be a betrayal for that, to that friend. What I mean is the readiness to die, bro. No matter who is you're facing, who you're up against, what society, what are the armies, doesn't matter, bro. You and your boys, you and your people, the people you love, whoever it is, are ready to die against any government, any calamity. Just locked and loaded, bro. That's like the relationship that I saw in anime and that I yearned for. Sadly, I was ready. I was like ride or die, but those people that I spent my time with and was the ride or die for, they weren't, like, which is quite sad, yeah. But it is what it is. I did learn, I did grow from it, and that's also mentioned in other values, right? Or where you can find this, in which anime you can find this, is Bunny Girl Senpai, Naruto, Akame ga Kill, and Licorice Recoil. These are the things where I could find. Of course, I'm mentioning anime, but I don't mention every single anime where it ever appears that I watched. Just examples, right? For example, it's Ride or Die is in Licorice Recoil, but also Black Clover. Absolutely, there is like Ride or Die moments with, for example, the captain of Black Clover and like the main character, you know, Asta and so. So, and Yuno and Asta, Ride or Die moment, 100%, bro, no questions asked. But I'm just giving some examples, so you can think for yourself. Okay, the next point is to be courageous, and I'm gonna be honest with you. This is genuinely something I have mostly like been inspired by in anime. Like all of these other points, give it your all, get stronger, be ready to ride or die, never give up. These were not only inspired by anime. I also learned in my life, you know, through friends, through games, Dark Souls, for example, my own experience, and so on and so forth. But to be courageous, that is a good thing. To, you know, be like stupidly bold. For example, Yuji. For example, was his name Yuji? Let me see. Yes. For example, Yuji, like to be stupidly bold. And there is a balance to it, 100%, no questions asked. But to have the capability to do that is genuinely greatness. Because if you can just die for something, if you're ready to die for something, you become the most dangerous thing. But you need to be actually ready to die, you know? You gotta think to yourself, alright, I'll die for it. And that needs a reason. But when I saw that, I was like, well, look at these guys, bro. When I was watching anime, I didn't accept that. Yeah, I didn't respect that principle, you know? When I first saw, for example, Yuji, I was like, hey, bro, he's like, oh, I was like, yeah, this is anime, I don't need to be that bold. But after I stopped anime, I came back to realize, wait a second, it is actually something, you know, that can be really an admirable trait in the right situation. If you're ready to die for what you believe in, bro, you become so much stronger. And not only is it like, okay, I'm going to die if it's necessary, and when the moment comes, you sacrifice it. But on the way there, you're so much more determined, because if you are ready to die for it, are you also ready to live for it? That's the question, right? Because without being ready to die for it, you can't be ready to live for it. It gives you, when the moment's like, when you're in a really bad spot in your life and you're ready to die for something, then it will pick you back up, let's say it like that. It will help you stay focused, right? Being bold and courageous. If you're ready to die for something, when you're depressed and question yourself, you know, and you're in pain, you can say, like, this is my reason. That will be the thing that carries you. And not only the moment when you need to actually die, if it ever comes, that will be different. But also, when you have this mindset, but also the way there, bro. You can't do like all-nighters, because you know, bro, I would even die for this. You can't do it if you're scared. You would, you know, bail out anyways. Why would you, like, do this scary, crazy thing for something you wouldn't even die for, you know? Not taking life so seriously is another principle that I really like. Really, really like. It was also a principle that I not only learned from anime, but also a person that I really started, like, basically, you could say, hating. In the past, it was even the person that I trusted the most, and I learned that I did end up seeing that they were absolutely someone who was not to be trusted, someone who was like, who has a bad character, you know? But from this person, I did learn something valuable, to not take life so seriously, especially specific circumstances. For example, people would insult him, and he would just laugh, you know? And it is really a good mindset, bro. You know? One more thing I actually didn't write down. All the things, all the values that I'm mentioning, right? You need to use them in the right circumstance. As I said, don't just say freaking never give up, bro. Keep gambling. This is stupid as hell, bro. Give it your all if it's something you truly care about and still want to achieve. You know? If it's a good goal, if it's a genuinely good goal, if you yourself say it's a good goal, give it your all. Never give up. If you wanna win, one of the 3 principles: never give up. Do everything to get better, and realize that you're not special. You know? Again, this is for things that are you really wanna achieve and you wanna keep going with. You believe in, you know? To get stronger, to improve yourself in not only like physically, but also in any way, shape, form possible. Be ready to die for those you truly call friends. To be like ride or die, bro. You know, to be. Okay, this is actually a more general advice, but that's the thing. Who do you call friends? Do you call them like colleague, or do you really wanna call them friend? So think about who you call friend. I'm not saying also always there's exceptions, context, right? Now I'm not saying all those people you call friend, be ride or die for them. Be for them those people who would be ride or die for you too. And don't call other people friend who are not ride or die for you. And be ride or die for them as well. That's what I'm saying. You know? Don't take life so seriously. So I take life really seriously, bro. But again, context. Just realize it's in your arsenal. When people insult you, for example, it's just worse. You know, low cortisol, chilling out, bro. If people do something wrong, like, chill out, bro. You know what I'm saying? Don't take it so seriously, because if you take it seriously, life is gonna make a joke out of you. Let me tell you that. So you need that in your arsenal to be able to just laugh about it, not take it seriously, not be stumped about something, and so on and so forth. And the reason why that's so important is you're using resources for things unnecessarily. Your brain is a tool and like a machine. If you use like the fuel in your car to run over pedestrians because they looked wrong at you, you know, then the issue becomes you use up all your fuel doing some nonsense and then you're gonna get catched by the police, you know? So it's not worth it. Or like someone breaks the sign and you scream at them, you use the horn or whatever and so on and so forth. Like, you don't gotta do a burnout just because someone like braked too late, you know what I'm saying? There are some people who take life so seriously, bro. They think the law of the state were made by God. If someone passes a red light, like as if they had killed their children. Like, chill out, bro. You know what I'm saying? We do need some people like that in some circumstances, but if you want to live a good life, not always worrying about stuff, being capable of like focusing on the real important things and using people who want bad for you to your advantage, you gotta be capable of not taking life seriously. Let's say someone insults you, bro. Let's say someone insults your mom because they get angry in game, for example. Now you can be like, you insult back, man, screw you. Like, you're stressed now. Now you're angry, you know. Now you're angry. Now you're stressed. Now you're thinking about it, wasting your time. Weakling mindset, bro. Weakling mindset, like NPC mindset. You know what I'm saying? What I'm trying to say. Instead, just like low cortisol, chill out, bro. You know, just like, just like when I met you in. You know what I'm saying? And what happens? You think about it. You waste your time, you waste your energy, and your stress unnecessarily, and you don't even like, you don't move ahead. You don't gain anything from it. It's like an NPC move, just an NPC, straight up. Bro, some people, you know, move. Meanwhile, imagine you laugh. You just laugh about it, bro. First of all, you're chilling. You don't mind about it. You make it into a funny situation, and the guy that's trolling you, or like the guy that's insulting you or opposing you, whoever that is, you know, he's now tilted. He's not gonna cry. He's gonna get even angrier because you're laughing even though he insulted you. And it's also, I found it funny if someone like all of a sudden starts insulting you. It means they get affected. So it is pretty funny to me in that sense. And not only that, if you don't take it seriously, there's also the advantage of you get basically free content, bro. Basically free clips. So when you do stuff like this, not only like relating to insults now, overall not taking life seriously if it's not serious, you know, if you don't know that it is serious, in the sense that if you do not do something, the consequences will be inevitably catastrophic, you know, or really bad consequences. For example, you go 200 kilometers per hour. Your nephew goes 200 kilometers per hour in a 50 zone, for example. And you see pedestrians. Bro, you're gonna tell them, bro, you're not gonna be driving like this, or I'm gonna be taking away your car. That's serious, bro, because he's not only gonna kill you, himself, and someone else as well. But if like some pedestrian crosses the red crosswalk, you know, like you don't gotta crash out, my boy. You can chill out, you know what I'm saying? So also people, when you get serious, people know, you know, that they first can trust you with serious matters. And people know that things are actually serious when you are serious. When you're serious for every single thing, they'll just try to stay away from you. Or they will just, you know, all of a sudden, this is serious. They're like, bro, that's not serious. Even though you mean it seriously. Even though like, you're like, bro, I feel like I'm dying. You know, but if everything is serious, serious things become the norm. So they don't become as important, you know? That's also an issue that you gotta keep in mind. This principle in stuff like Eminence of Shadow, Assassination Classroom, One Punch Man, you know? They don't take themselves seriously as well. Next thing is love with all your heart. So love and friendship is intense in anime, like often intense, most of the time. It's not boring like real life, because a lot of people don't have that enthusiasm for anything they do, and it also not only has to do with themselves, but also with the lifestyle they're living. If you don't have the energy and so on and so forth, it makes sense that you don't have any enthusiasm, any energy, you know. For example, no proper sleep, I'm talking stuff yet. I have a proper sleep, but no proper diet and so on and so forth, no health. They don't take care of that, so they can't be, you know, they can't care for others because they can't care for themselves. If you are in a relationship, bro, be in the best relationship, you know? Love with all your heart. And that's not only for women, it's also for like people, bro. It's a little bit of Honkai Impact Kiana mindset, but is that also Naruto. So you will find this, actually that is also in Naruto, but I didn't mention it in the list of anime that includes this principle. Examples for love with all your heart is Seven Deadly Sins, JoJo, Black Clover, and Hunter x Hunter. Also Naruto, as I said. Then the next thing is loyalty. I didn't learn loyalty from anime. Thank God I didn't, because it is not really like the best type of loyalty, but it is kind of a twisted loyalty. But we did see loyalty in a good way as well. For example, what I mean by twisted, Naruto pursues Sasuke even though he decided himself, I'm going to be a villain. In reality, like the reality is like this: if your friend would have done that, you would have genuinely killed him. Like there is no Naruto, I'm gonna save him, bro. He decided, he's a grown man, bro. You know what I'm saying? If he's like that evil, bro, straight up, I would have killed him. Unless he's like, I'm like, bro, you're on the wrong path. I understand your path, I support you. If he's trying to kill me, he's like, I'm popping the 9, bro. You know what I'm saying? There's no playing games if it comes to stuff like that. That's what I mean. So, no, I'm not saying blind loyalty. I'm saying loyalty. In anime, like this value, this principle was rather affirmed my already existing like loyalty. And you can find this value of loyalty in anime like Fate Stay Night, Nanatsu no Taizai, Parasite, and Shield Hero. Kindness as a given. To be always kind, not to those who deserving, but to everyone, except those who don't deserve it. So evil people, they actively wanna hurt you, bro. Clap. Randoms you don't even know, just be kind for no reason, bro. You know, I have heard that from somewhere, like be kind for no reason. There is a reason, of course. Not every human being may apply the same. So for me, it's God. If I am the human being that is representing of God, right? I'm not representing God, but His religion and so on and so forth. Then if I'm kind, then people see that the people of this religion are like, they may also be interested in it. So I'm a good influence. Something, of course, that I wanna be. So that's one thing, one reason to be kind. Another reason to be kind is you get the best out of people, bro. If you're genuinely kind, you will see really fast what people are made of. So you see, you're really kind, they don't give a damn. They still do some stupid stuff. Then just ignore them, bro. You know, okay, now you know what kind of person he is. Easy. And you're really kind, and he gives it your all, bro. You know, people are like that, and people wanna be like that. I wanna be like that. Everybody wants to be like. Because if someone genuinely wants good for you, kindness means wanting good for someone, not being nice. That's a different thing. And you don't need to be overly nice, but like with people, in the boundaries that you set for yourself, be as kind as possible, right? That's what I'm trying to say. Something that is missing, or the opposite in someone is, for example, Classroom of the Elite. They're straight up cruel, bro. You know what I'm saying? And that's somehow marketed as really cool, bro. You're so cool, bro. You're a werewolf. The weak must shiver when the nice guy speaks, bro. Shut the fuck up, this cringe as hell, bro. Be kind. Everyone should see that side of you that really cares about them. Not really anime, but Honkai Impact also teach me that, you could say. Naruto, Black Clover, and Mob Psycho, I saw that. But honestly, it also comes not only from that. Like, it was like that were anime where I did see these values. I also, of course, in the real life, is where I really understood the value, or like the point, or the way to be really kind, you know? All-in mindset, bro. All-in mindset is not the all-in mindset that we're talking about. It's the capability to all-in mindset. For example, Omniscient Reader, Solo Leveling, or Demon Slayer. Many times have like moments where they're like all in. They're like close to losing, you know? Learn the game of all in and do it when necessary. And only when necessary. Because all in costs a lot, bro. And it loses you a lot. So you can only do it when you have to go all in. And all in mindset, I like the all in mindset, but I also learned it not only from anime, but also from other people around me. For example, my nephew. he said all in for fun and jokes. But then now I realize if you're all in, there's just one way forward. There's no back, no front. So the only thing you can do is to win or lose. So you can only focus on winning, you know? There's nothing you gotta do. That's the good thing. And it's fun. It's really fun, yes. The all-in mindset is definitely present in anime. You just gotta be careful and understand like the limits, you know? Because there are physical limits. There are limits in physics that stop you from like going all in and completely winning every single time. You can't go all in doing a backflip and flying to the moon without a rocket, obviously. You know? You can go all in on luck and not expect to lose. For example, gambling. So go all in yourself, in something you believe in. In anime, all in is like a magic bullet. In reality, it's like a magic bullet, but you don't know where the barrel is looking. It could be very well looking at your face. And so you gotta be careful if you pull the trigger. I recommend you learn the skill or the art of all in, and then use it when you have first nothing to lose, or the risk is so high that it doesn't matter if you're risking everything, because everything is at risk already. You know what I'm saying? So goodwill is to treat all people as if they are not inherently evil, unless proven so. What I mean by that is you don't inherently expect evil. You don't inherently expect them to be lying or planning evil. If you are in a difficult situation, I understand to be more careful. You're in war, let's say, and you're really cautious about the room. I get it, but I'm talking about normal society. In that situation, it's expected to be just like expecting everyone to be not like evil or anything, right? So unless there is a reason, so this guy is evil, or he has like a weapon, or he wants anything bad from you. You don't think that, but you think it could be possible. You know, that's what I'm trying to say. It's possible. It is possible that he has a weapon. It's possible that he got like crazy, you know, he's really evil or something, anything like that. You're prepared, let's say, but you don't expect. You're not. How can I say that? You don't expect it, but you're ready. That's what I'm trying to say. And that's what it is to be good-willed, let's say. You think good of people, but if they're bad, they're still cooked. You know what I'm saying? Because even if people are good, you don't know who is good and who is bad. That's why you don't trust them, everyone, your purse, basically. You don't trust, for example, important things, right? You're not ready to lose. You don't trust that to anyone you're not trusting, even if you think they're good people, right? Because that's just safety. Even though you don't expect them, you don't think like, oh, these are evil people, you still don't trust them with really important things. Basically, treat all people as if they're not inherently evil unless proven so. You can see that in Misfit of Demon King, Demon Slayer, Mob Psycho, Full Metal Brotherhood, Tokyo Ghoul. In these animes you can see it. To be different. I don't like the notion to be different just to be different, you know. If you're different, you're cool. If you're different, you're good, bro. You know, that as if it's like some good. Like, why is it better to be different? I don't understand it. You don't need to be different. If everybody was doing the right thing, you wouldn't be needing to be different. But it's what I'm trying to say is not about trying to be different, but being capable of it if it's required. Not to care what others think, but what they are right about. So to not care about what others think, but what they are right about. And you can see this principle in anime like Black Clover, so goated, 86, Licorice Recoil, Fire Force, and Assassination Classroom. These are perfect anime to like portray this, you know. The next principle that I want to tell you about is your origin is unimportant. It doesn't decide who you are. Yourself, so your soul, does. And what that means is it doesn't matter where you come from. It doesn't matter what like skin color you have, what money you have, what people think of you, whatever. It doesn't matter. What only thing that matters is you and who you decide to be. Who you are ready to sacrifice, the input, the effort, the sacrifice that you do, right? The greatness and character that you are capable, integrity that you are capable of upholding. That's what matters. And you see that this like principle you can see in Black Clover, 86, and Misfit of the Demon King. So now comes a crazy one. You can be whoever you decide you wanna be. But no man can walk out of his own story. So you can't just remove your past. And at the same time, you can't play and just look like someone. Look like being someone and expect to be them. You need to take on the sacrifices that they took to truly become them. Yeah, so there's no escaping the pain. And these few parts are summed up in a sentence. You can decide and become whoever you wanna be, but you can't outrun your past or shed away yourself and say that you've become someone by just being them on the surface or appearing like that person to others. You need to learn what it takes to become whoever you wanna become, even when that means immense suffering and pain. There is no other way. Else you may fool some people, but you will never fool yourself or the truth. You will never really be them unless you do and learn what it takes to be them. And this is not about how you feel. It doesn't matter how you feel. You may feel like an imposter. You may feel like scared. It doesn't matter. It matters what you decide to do. You face it even when you're scared. You face it even when it's difficult. Even when you don't feel like doing it. Even if you feel like, actually I don't want to even do this. But you, in your heart, you know that you want to do it. If you keep going now, that's what matters. It's not about the feelings. It's about understanding them. So this is actually what I learned. I learned this not really from anime, but like from media in general. And this was overall from Rango. I was like 7 or 8, I think, when I saw like Rango on the. It was crazy, bro. It's genuinely a revelation to me. I saw Rango on like the TV, and he said, "I can be whoever I wanna be," and I was like, "Wait a second, holy how, bro?" Like that was crazy to me, you know. I was like really young, bro, at that point. And I mean, it was crazy, bro. Like I was like, wait a second, he's right, bro. He can be. You decide who you are. I can be like who do I wanna be? You know, that's when I got basically conscious. That's when I spawned, bro. You know how you spawn in the freaking in the freaking living room, as they say. I spawned with Rango, bro. When he said that, that's when I spawned, bro. That was crazy. That was unbelievable, genuinely. Because I was like, bro, wait a second. I can just decide I'm going to be that person, right? I don't need to be anyone else. I can be like anyone else. Like this was crazy, you know. And I realized that when he put it into words, and I realized, wait a second, bro, that's holy, you know. That was insane. But also this principle, you can see it in Naruto. For example, Naruto wants to become Hokage, and he makes it because he decided he wants to be, basically. So what this means is, you can't just decide and you become that person, right? So you decide you wanna be the person you basically already are, minus you lacking the skills or whatever. But someone, for example, someone who is rich, let's say. If you say, I'm gonna become rich, you already have the mindset to become rich. Because now you're ready to learn, right? So that's what it takes. You only don't have the knowledge to know what it takes, and that's what you're gonna learn and sacrifice and grow. If you say, I'm gonna be the best teacher, or like the best religious leader, you know? You decide, like, how can I say this? Anyone that can be, you can be. You know? Because you're just like anyone else. And that's the beautiful part about not being special. Everything that has been done, you can do as well. By any human being. But you just need to do what they did. You need to sacrifice and put in the effort that they did. Now the question, are you ready to do that? When you are, then you can decide to become whoever you want to be, because who stops you from being that? As they say, aim for the stars and land on the moon, you know? Or maybe aim for the moon and land on the stars, who knows? Who knows? Who knows? Who knows the truth? Who knows where we're gonna truly end up, you know? I don't really remember perfectly what I realized at that point, but it was definitely a crazy revelation, bro. When I was watching that film, I think, oh, bro, I think I gotta watch that again, bro. That's the only film I'm still willing to watch. Otherwise, I'm not gonna watch any other film. All block we like, all block we like. When I watched Rango for the first time, it was like I can be anyone. I probably did try to be anyone or someone I tried to be, and realized really fast that's not possible. But it still shaped me for my lifetime, bro. And I probably realized, wait a second, this is really hard. This is like, this hurts, bro. This physically hurts to be someone. It does. Well, then I probably realized you can't just be anyone. You need to sacrifice in order to become someone. In order to become someone, you also need to become their sacrifices. For example, you can't outrun your past. What you did or who you are is still you, but you can be someone who you decide to be. Doesn't change that it's still you, you know? Yeah, I probably realized that I have the will and freedom to decide the person I want to become at that age. Do not judge people by outside sources without meeting them. Okay, let me repeat that. Do not judge people by outside sources without meeting them. Basically, if they say Arabs are evil, Arabs are bombas or something, or like Chinese are communists, they are like scammers, low quality, or whatever they're saying, right? You know, whatever they're saying, don't believe that about Israelis, don't believe that about Muslims, don't believe that about Jews, don't believe it about Palestinians, unless you meet them, especially if you are in a position of high responsibility. Because if you're gonna decide about their lives, if you're gonna decide about anything that has to do with them, then, and if you have prejudice against the people, like against the culture or whatever, then you have to meet them first. We have to see their perspective. If you don't do that, you're cooked, bro. Because they will imagine they did the same to you, and they all of a sudden they attack you, bro. You know, you would say, bro, what's wrong with you, bro? You were straight evil. You believed what the people said, but you didn't even talk to me. You know what I'm saying? That's what they would say. Exactly, they would say the same. So that's why you gotta do that. I believe that I partially recognize like this meeting thing in 86. So I would mention 86 because next thing is be optimistic. That is a really common, is a trope that comes like appears often in anime. And don't be stupidly positive in the sense that I would disadvantage you. Only be positive at the final end. Don't be like, no problem, bro, I will do it, no problem. I will go with 200 kama against this wall, I'll survive it, bro. Realistically positive in the sense like, I will try my best and hopefully this will work, you know what I'm saying? Not I will make a mistake and that will work. Like let me try to frame it more sensefully, maybe I can say. Do your due diligence. Do what you believe realistically is needed and then be optimistic. Expect a good outcome in the sense not that, yeah, this is 50-40 but the 40 thing will happen. Say instead, okay, I did what I can. Hopefully we will win. If we don't win, we will do it in another way. You know, and hopefully already planned. In like Islam, there is a principle of tying your camel and then trusting God. Basically, that's it. Do your diligence and then trust God and then be optimistic that the best outcome will happen. If you don't make it, then maybe probably something else is better anyways. You know what I'm saying? W mindset, bro. No worries. Just luck. I'm gonna tell you, bro. You know how many months or years, even maybe, I tried to get like a client, for example, and I only got one now, and I'm still not earning enough money. I'm basically broke as of now. I'm speaking. At least you can think to yourself this, right? You don't need to be optimistic. But at least don't be pessimistic, because you can make it. It is possible, bro. Possibility is there. You can be optimistic because you believe in God. I believe to be optimistic is to be realistic. Pessimistic means I can't do it. Being optimistic doesn't mean I will 100% do it, but believing I can do it. So that's already so much better, isn't it? Principle of being optimistic you can find in Violet Evergarden, Naruto, Boku no Hero Academia, Bunny Girl Senpai, Misfit of the Demon King, Tokyo Ghoul, and In Your Name. The last good values, one of the good last values that I learned is go your own path and trust yourself first. If you want to trust your teammates, then you gotta trust yourself first, because the trust to them comes from you. The trust in them comes from you, so you gotta trust yourself to trust them. That was the case with Levi, right? You can find this value or principle in Attack on Titan, Hunter x Hunter, Vinland Saga, Neverland, 100 Men, anime, and Akame ga Kill. These were all things that I learned from anime. All the good things, all the good values that I learned from anime. And now comes the bad things, the basically bad morals, bad values or principles. And the first one I want to mention is incest themes. So one weird part of Japanese otaku culture is like incest. For some reason it's like really prevalent, and I don't know why, but like it is at least relatively more prevalent in Japanese culture than in any other. And just evil, not gonna lie, like this is straight up evil. And if you accept that, if you say, yeah, I don't care, it's just an anime anyways, what happens is your mind gets used to it, right? And this is something that I definitely do not accept. Hockt alles, der dreckige. Oh mein Gott, solcher fetter. Die haben mich vergast, Bro, die haben Auschwitz. It just shows that there are moral issues with anime. That's what I wanna make you aware of. Das davon.
Feind am Boden. Unter Beschuss. Ich brauche Gesundheit.
For example, an anime where this is present is Sword Art Online. Especially Sword Art Online is like not even that bad, to be honest. Sword Art Online is relatively tame compared to what the hell is going on, you know what I'm saying? Anime overall, that culture overall has that trope, has that like theme, which is unnecessary. I don't understand why it is. Specifically, like straight up Mossad plan, bro. Not gonna lie. The next thing is to commit and promise to things that you have no control over. For example, in Black Clover, Akame ga Kill, the main character says, I promise I'll survive, I will come back, right? Like, how do you have control over that? That's a battle. How do you promise that? You can try your best, but you can't promise, you know? Like, and then they get sad over not achieving the goal, for example. Bro, like, okay, you had no control. You should get sad over promise or a commitment that you make that you don't achieve. But it should be, to begin with, something that you have control over. If you then fail, okay, then get sad. And this is also from Japanese culture, where people have commitments and things which they have no control over. You know, I'm telling you, don't do this. Don't commit and promise to things you have no control over. If you genuinely mean it, like, don't do it. For example, also in real life, not only in anime, also in real life, businessmen have commitment to honor, right? And if they fail, they'll commit suicide, even though he was not the one responsible. This is, for example, straight up stupid. In my opinion, straight up stupid. And you can see stuff like this in anime like Black Clover, Akame ga Kill, or Naruto. You know, I promised to bring him back, but what if he doesn't wanna? What if Sasuke doesn't wanna come back? Then what kind of promise is this, bro? To be chosen instead of becoming chosen. This is one of the most overlooked and evil parts of anime there is. One of the most overlooked and evil parts in anime there is. Right? Why? Because this makes you now, those who believe in anime, it makes them passive. It makes them not believe in themselves and complacent. Because they think they need to be chosen. You don't need to be chosen. You need to become chosen. You need to become a person that gets chosen because you're capable, not because you're very cooked. Not because you were chosen by your parents, by your inheritance, by some random chance of luck, but by your own skill. You know what I'm saying? So anime like Solo Leveling, the manga, for example, Solo Leveling, Naruto, Black Clover, and Omniscient Reader, and Attack on Titan have these themes. For example, Solo Leveling was luck, chosen by luck. Naruto, it was chosen by inheritance. Then Omniscient Reader was chosen by luck, and Attack on Titan was also inheritance. So it's hella goofy, bruh. What can I say? Okay, so the next evil thing that is in anime is sexual indecency. It's always women being sexualized, body dysmorphia, women having no character, basically being useless leeches or like fun dolls, you know? There's no point in the women, they have no purpose, bro. They're just like a secondary thing, not even secondary, they're like useless, bro. In anime, they're completely useless, they have no use. You know what I'm saying? What the hell? Holy dog. That is really charling. Really chart the big Akanagama. Anyways, for example, this is in anime like Goblin Slayer, Akame ga Kill, Sobarashi, Arifureta und JoJo's Adventure. Then, bad morals. It's like overall, like bad morals, bro. Overall, like arrogance, pride, like not things that consist of great character. Pursuing vain interest and so on and so forth. Examples of anime for this is like Goblin Slayer, Demon King Daimao, or Classroom of the Elite. Next thing is the negative side that people often confuse with goodwill, which is naivety. For example, in Erased, it showed why not to be naive and unwary. Spoiler warning, the main character knew that the teacher was it, but he was in denial, you know? But this would be a good example. There are many more bad examples. So Erased is a good example of being wary, not being naive. But there are many more bad examples. For example, bad examples like Naruto, Black Clover, Boku no Hero Academia, and Your Name, which is like all this, flowers and roses or whatever, I don't know what I'm saying. Anime shows this again and again, but the message that is read and seen is you don't need to be worried. So anime shows this again and again where there is like actually a good point of you should be perspicacious, but the message that is read and seen is you don't need to be worried, you know? You don't need to be perspicacious when you need to be. So, see who they are not. Okay. So, the issue with this is you need to see a person as they are in the moment, not the image of them that you created of them. because I've done this as well. And the person that I trusted the most in the past was the person who I probably personally know that I dislike the most. Not because he has done something to me specifically, but his character is so like bad that that would be the person which I dislike the most, you know? So because it was betrayal of the friendship, not myself but of another friend. And I wasn't able to see that because I trusted the image of someone instead of trusting what he showed me, instead of being wary, you know? This is quite interesting actually. This definitely is interesting. So you need to be was het aufmerksamkeit. Attentive. You need to be alert. And the more alert you are, the better it is in order to detect stuff like this, but it will be stressful. But it's not like, oh, you're overthinking, there is no point. There is a point to overthinking, but the return of investment may not be worth it, right? So the next point is unwillingness to show pain. Anime often shows only fun stuff. You know, it doesn't represent reality well in any area. It's like escapism. It shows, oh, pain. For example, in Naruto, pain went through some pain, or they lost, they grieved for a day, but they don't show the day after day where they felt meaningless, and then they suffered, and everything was pointless, and they worked in order to improve themselves, but they noticed no progress, and they tried it again and again and again and again and again and again and again, only to get minimal results, bro. Only to get. Did they show that? Because that's how real life is. And you need to keep going, and you need to keep going. You need to freaking keep going until you win, bro. What did Jinxie say? I forgot. I forgot. That was a banger. It doesn't matter how many faults. It doesn't matter how many times you fall down in this life. It just matters if you're willing to get up again and again and again. That's what he said, and that's true, bro. You know, of course you see it with anime characters. They get beaten up. They cry, "Oh no, am I gonna be able to do this?" You know, they cry, and then they get up again. But that's not how it looks, to be honest. How it looks is, you know, okay, I'm gonna make it. I'm not gonna cry. You at your lowest, you stand up. You at your lowest, you stand up. You at your lowest, you do it 10 times, 100 times, 1,000 times, and then you're like, I did this 1,000 times, and where did I come? You know, it's much more deep. The pain and the suffering is so much more deep in real life. And in anime, it's like, oh, for my friends, I'm gonna do it. Like, it's hella goofy, bro. You know what I'm saying? You guys know what I'm talking about. Like the friendship and stuff. Like power of friendship is some goofy. You know what I'm saying? Like examples are One Punch Man, Solo Leveling, but these are not really good examples of like friendship. But I would say probably One Piece or like Fairy Tail are probably good examples. But Black Clover, Akame ga Kill, Dragon Ball Z, you know, Naruto, stuff like that. Also, another bad thing is it focuses on comfort and luck. Despite that trope taking things into your own hand, it falls short by a large margin of what it's really required. So it's like this, oh, I'm gonna train and I'm gonna make it. No, you're not. You will train and then you will train 10 years and then you will maybe reach like like fifth place. That's hard, bro. That's brutal. For example, Demon Slayer. He trains for a few months and becomes Hashira. Hell nah, bro. That's not how it works. That's not how it would work in real life. Even the corporate job, you need to work 10 years in order to become correct. You think you're gonna work a few months? I don't care, bro. I know. It's like, how should I say? Even if they say like they trained for 5 years, you know, the things they skip all the time, right? So you don't notice, you don't understand how it is. And it's not about the hard work. I never seen any character work hard in the sense that, like, it's all overnight success basically. It's all an event that makes them successful. It's not the way, the path that makes them successful. And that's the reality, is the path makes you successful. And what they show is the overnight success basically. And I can't think of any character where I think, okay, now I understand that he worked really hard. Now I understand, because they don't know what hard work is, bro. If they knew, they would know how it feels and what the hurdles and difficulties are. Because if I think right now, who really worked hard so that I saw it, not they just said, yeah, he worked really hard. So 20 years later, yeah, he worked every day. I did some offline farming type of statement, you know what I'm saying? I can't remember a single guy who worked like put in effort that I probably put in my life. You know what I'm saying? I can't think of a single main character where I saw like someone put in effort that I did in my life, for example. You know what I'm saying? But if I think in real life, I can think of Alex Hormozy. I can think of Elon Musk. I can think of, this is probably not a good example, but Greta Thunberg, you know? She's not like a CEO or something, but like she's ready to sacrifice. I can think of, you know what I'm saying? Like Alex Hormozy explains it in a way where I understand it. I feel it, bro. I see it. He slept for 4 hours. He was able to sleep while standing. He got athlete's foot or something because that he catch from the gym floor. I don't know what the hell he was going on, bro. You know, like godforsaken place of doom and despair. But I don't remember any character going into and feeling like, oh my god, they grinded so much. I felt bad even, you know. That's not, doesn't really happen. You can't really, because they don't understand hard work. They're not Alex Hormozy. Alex Hormozy never wrote an anime. If he did, maybe there would be a character that would show signs of like genuine hard work, you know. So yeah, whatever. So examples for that are Black Clover, Demon Slayer, Solo Leveling, Bunny Girl. Ah yeah, luck. Trope on comfort and luck. So yeah, exactly. So Bunny Girl, oh my god, I was lucky. Now I can feel nice, you know, because I watched this anime. Instead of, this is how you do it, this is the tutorial. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. For example, in Bunny Girl Senpai, they got lucky that the the one young girl who got older, I forgot the names, knew some cheat to reverse time or some goofier, you know what I'm saying? Solo leveling, he gets lucky all the time, bro. It's like every fight is fight to life and death by 99.9%. He almost died. Demon Slayer. Demon Slayer is actually less so, to be honest. Demon Slayer is definitely more skill based, you could say. But it's still really like close. At least with Demon Slayer, I can feel it, you know? That's what I like about Demon Slayer. But Black Clover is definitely luck, for example. How did he even get to where he was? He was really hardworking, yes. But reality is he just got granted one of the most over freaking powered freaking demons, devils there are. All of a sudden, like, you know what I'm saying? Ridiculous. Then, next thing. Actually, last point of this video. Anime is not deep, bro. No single anime I've ever watched was really ever like genuinely deep. Not Vinland Saga, not Attack on Titan, not Plastic Memories, not Violet Evergarden, not 86, not Death Note, not The Silent Voice, not Eminence in Shadow. None of them were really deep. If I sit down now and I think about life for like 7 minutes, the complexity of my thought patterns will gap the amount of deepness or complexity that any anime has ever produced, except maybe Paprika, but I didn't watch that. So, and the only exception to this may be Parasite, from which I watched, maybe Parasite, which showed me how blessed we are as humans, but no anime ever made me sit down and think deeply, you know? However, there was like a film called Rango. I did mention that before as well. That did cause me to think, definitely, for comparison, with anime. So in conclusion, real life is like hardcore anime. It's like a hardcore game, Imagine Dark Souls, but literally 10 times harder, and that's what makes it great. Because success is often measured by the burden you've overcome. So imagine you overcome what none of those anime MCs could. So we were inspired by them. Now you could be 1,000 times better than them. Because life is brutal, but it's compounding. So once you finish an anime, the journey is done. You've gained nothing. You've seen them grow, you had your fun, but it's over. But once you gain something permanently in life, you keep it until you die. Right? Let's say, for example, a skill, an insight, and so on and so forth. So, or at least you can keep it. It's compounding. So, the cool thing is, you also have influence over the story, which makes it much more engaging instead of just watching. Just like a story-based game without like fixed endings. Like in Dark Souls there is ending 1, 2, and 3, but in real life there is no ending 1, 2, 3. There's infinite possible endings. It's like an actual story that you're writing. Pretty cool. So the question is, how will your character end? Will they be truly great or just appear so? Who will you be? After all this, I want to tell you one thing. Quit anime and films if you see that you learn no longer from them. Then do not pursue pleasure for its own sake. You came because you were inspired and you looked up to the main character. Now it's time for you to become the main character. Go for what you came. Go for what you came for. Because you wanted to be like them. Leave what's bad and take what's good. Make your own way. Make a great way, something that takes what's good and leaves what's evil.